Yeah. Well, what I'm going to present this afternoon is basically the additional informations related to what we did already in developing the biobank system. So, well, basically, Dr. Early already mentions a lot of informations, very comprehensive informations related to the quality. And yeah, for these sessions, I focusing only for the data quality, which is related more in the informations and communications technology. Then it is also very important to make sure that the information, the data that we will document is also have a high quality. So it means that when we enter the data into the documents or the, let's say, database, then it should be also keep we have to make sure also that it's also in the right way and also in the proper manner. So next slide. So well, I think one of the important issue in this case is that the correct and order collections, conservations, integrations, etc. will actually important, and it's also the things which is distinguished from biobank with just probably simple collections of biomaterials, because in this case what we would like to do is that we can use the data for the other purposes, for the research, for the quality improvement, etc. Next. So what yes, actually what I'm going to inform to all of you is related to what we did already, and I'm very sure that it is not always probably a best practice, since that we still have lack of capacity, lack of resources. But I think it's also good to share, and also maybe to have comments and also probably suggestion from you. So what we did is actually this a simple graph representing the activity that mostly we do to record the information related to the biobank activity. So from data collections, receipts, processing, analysis, storage, distributions, and it's actually the cycles. And in all states, we have to make sure that the quality control is at the highest positions, and we also actually consider this as very important issue, which is really linked with the data quality, that at the end will be create the database which is meaningful for use. Okay, so next slide. And well, tomorrow we are going to inform you about the database development that we did, and this is just to little bit mentions that actually we have 3 layers in terms of the infrastructures. So we have data layer, business layer, and presentation layer, which is in terms of the architecture is actually differ, and it's basically link each other, but have different functionality and also the purpose. But I think we will discuss more about this tomorrow when we discuss about the laboratory information system. So next slide. So, well, if we talk about the data quality, then the data should be up to date, should be complete, should be accurate, unambiguous, understood, and also consistent and available, which is not easy to achieve all of these things in the same way. So just for example, that I also actually involved in the projects that try to develop the database for the disease surveillance, which is to some extent in Indonesia is also not yet optimum. And it is interesting to see that when the completeness is the target, then usually the accuracy is becoming lower. Just for example, we try to make as complete as possible, but actually people in the field that responsible for data entry feel they try to achieve as complete as possible, but because probably the tedious work, it's also may then at the end create the situation where the accuracy is not optimum. And this is the things which is actually we try to facilitate using information and communication technology. So next. What we actually did is to use the standardized methods, which is already discussed by Dr. Eri. So we use the already exist standardized to help the data quality during the data collections. And for this purpose, we use the computer-assisted software, which is we are going to inform you tomorrow to make sure that the standard system, the consistency can be achieved. So yeah, next. This is the procedures that we try to facilitate the standard system. So we use the data entry scheme, and we use the code list, choice list. So it's actually to minimize the inconsistency. So this is the things that we think it's very challenging and also not easy at the first time, but I think this will be going better hopefully in the next futures. And also, of course, we also do the labeling, which is already, I think, discussed by Dr. Eri, also related to the traceability issue, that we create the system which can actually make the unique identifier that will be useful to then track the informations and also the locations. And this all we put into the database. And next slide. This is an example of the standardized variables. So basically we try to minimize the free text entry. So in this case we adopt the system which is allow the users to just select rather than to put the free text. We'll show you more tomorrow for this. Okay, next slide. And another thing which is probably more in the technical manner, but we think also very important to share, that we use the standardized interchangeable data format to make sure that the for the next purpose for research, etc., then will be also can be facilitated. It is why we adopt several standard format in the next slides, like what has been proposed by the P3G. So we adopt the tabular data using the XML, and it can be actually exported to others, like to the DAT file, to the JSONs, to various data that will be useful for further analysis. Just for example, currently it's also famous to use the CSV, comma spirited value, which is we also try to adopt in this system. So this is basically to facilitate the further analysis that hopefully can be easier to be done. So the researchers basically will not always think that the computer language is something which is abstract, but for this purpose we try to facilitate the format which is already commonly used, like Excel. And this CSV is basically can be also open the Excel format. And also for others, which is still not yet in our database, but we think further. Just for example, if we have image, then we can also keep the image in the certain formats, which is called TIFF. So it's uncompressed format, which is better than JPEG. And we actually also think that if we then put the geospatial data, then the shapefile will be also used. But right now what we have is still more quantitative data. Okay, so next. And yeah, there are actually several issues related to the data quality, which is some already discussed by Dr. Eri, like in order to make sure that the database is the data can be used further, then we will also put on the database that can be tracked, can be traceable. And due to the environment in Indonesia, that usually we also sometimes have the electricity shutdowns, the infrastructures probably not really maybe stable. It is why then we try to put several strategy to make sure that the data will be always ready to be accessed and also always current. So we have actually the backup mechanism, which is now also going to be on the SOP, which is already discussed this morning. So it's actually also part of the standard operating procedure, the backup mechanism, the storage, including also the security and etc. transmissions, disposal. Although we haven't yet actually performed, just for example, like the disposals, but we actually things that it's also have to be prepared before. And what we have right now is still on the early stage, which is not yet all fully implemented, but we think it is very important. So next slide. Yeah, this is just a schematic data. So it's called entity relationship diagram, which is consists of all data related to our biobank. So and it's a link between one informations to others. So basically all of the data that has been collected in our database is listed here. It's basically it contains several tables from the biospecimens informations and also others like the locations, like the identity, etc. Okay, next. And this is something which is actually we also interesting to learn more related to the data identifiability. So there are actually three options whether the data can be identifiable easily, or re-identifiable, or non-identifiable. And in our cases, it's actually still identifiable, which is probably not good if it is related to the data which is should be confidential and also contains a lot of privacy informations. But since that the regulations is not yet exist, it is why then now we are also in the discussions that we should think more related to this. And just for example that probably in most of the health sectors in Indonesia, if they have the data which is already in the computer systems, one of the persons that can actually have a look very closely and can also edit is the programmer, which is it should be not possible to be seen by them. But this is still probably not yet become the main issue, but I think it will be a very important issue that we should also take care and prepare at the very beginning. And it is also what we realize in our system, it's basically still identifiable, so it's actually basically still in the discussions what data that we should actually keep confidential, and it's will be also in the discussions, which is I think will be important to make to get the suggestions from you. Okay, so next. And the current data which is already in our database, so we have about 12,000 samples from 4,000 individuals, which is shown in the summary like this one. And I think it is also important to provide the summary, because usually we would like also to see as a researcher how many data that we have and how is the summary. And it is why then we also try to provide what so-called the dashboard information system on this database. And also what we plan to do, which is I think very important also, to provide the data quality indicator, like what Dr. Eri already mentions, that it might be also very important to know the information about this. Okay, next slide. So so the next step, which is now we try to start, is to adopt the SPRAC, which is already discussed quite comprehensive by Dr. Eri. And it is important to provide the detailed information about the pre-analytical processing, which is then will lead to the data quality. And also we now on the stage where we are learning to also adopt the MIABIS, the minimum informations about the biobank data sharing, which is hopefully then can also make sure that our data is have a high quality. And this is not yet in place in our system, but it's hopefully going to be adopted soon. And I think it also need the collaborations with various stakeholders and with all of you. Okay, so that's all I think. So it's more related to the technical issue, which is we did in terms of the database and data quality. Okay, I think that's all. Thank you very much.